Hiya, grandkids. My name is Grandpa Seidl. I was born May 25th, 1911, in a farm home in Buffalo. I can recall back to about 6.5 years of age when I had to go to a school, to a country school. And I always had to cross a kind of a creek that had crabs in there. And they always fascinated me, those crabs. So I wanted to catch them. So by the time I got to school, I had wet shoes and wet stockings. But it didn't make any difference to the class. And when I came home from school, well, I went to that school. It was an all school from 1st to 8th grade. They were all together. When I came home from school, my job was to herd a goat. And the goat was stronger than me. So the goat dragged me on the rope into the meadow, where she knew where the grass was real good, see? Well, and then my dad was still in the service at that time. I know that because I was born 1911, and it was close to 6.5 years. That was around 1918 then. And one of these days my dad came home from service. He just was a farm laborer, and another thing they did when there was moonless nights, they, I don't know how you say that in English, they swindled horses across the border into Czechoslovakia. But it had to be a moonless night, see? And when that petered out, then he went to the Ruhr Valley where there was open pit coal mines. And he started working there. And at that time, there was no such a thing as sandwiches and stuff like that. I had to go a couple of miles and carry my hot lunch. And then later on, I don't know just how that was again when my dad was gone somewhere, but we had just a wooden floor, and I had to, you could get slivers on your hands easy, but I don't remember, I scrubbed the floor for my mother all the time because she was mostly bedridden.
Why was she sick?
Huh?
Why was she sick?
The babies came too close together, and there wasn't enough food for them. One of them, once I know I had to take a set of twins in a coaster wagon and bury them at the cemetery. Oh, I don't know how old I was then, maybe around 7:30, something like that. And, well, in
What did you used to do for food? To try to get food?
we got food, mostly rice. That's why I was raised on rice. But the Japanese, they thrive on it, so I figured there was good for us too, and that was the cheapest thing that the government would give us.
And how did you used to get the rabbits?
Oh, how do we drive rabbits? There was maybe 6 of my boys in burned over coal mines. They left the ground high like hills. And we used to drive those big jackrabbits down the hill because they can't run downhill due to the fact that their hind feet are so long. If you drive them fast, then they tumble down there. And we got pockets full of stones already. We try and hit him and kill him that way, that we had something to eat at home again by skinning the rabbits.
Okay.
At the certain time of year when the potatoes were ripe, then us kids used to go on the edge of the field where the farmers wouldn't see us right away, and then we'd take potatoes home until we were shagged out of their home again. But we went there quite regular all the time. We couldn't find many at first because, and also we had to go the railroad tracks and follow the coals that fell out of the coal wagon that shook itself out, and that was, we used that for heat at home.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
To tell you the truth, at one time there was 8 or 10 of us.
What were their names?
I'd have to look that up on the back. I got it in the back. But I can't.
What were the names that you remember? There was Sophie.
Well, Sophie was a sister, and Anna was a sister. Wolfgang, that was a brother. Alois, that was a brother. Sepp, that was a brother.
Carl.
Carl, that was a brother, yeah. The others I'd have to give you the slip someday. There is one cousin of my mother's living in Germany yet, and we've been in correspondence since around Christmas time. We were in contact.
Do you want to tell the story about Carl, your brother?
Oh yeah, well, in 1941, my dad had an uncle over here, and he wanted my dad and the family to come over here, so my dad says, no, I'm just a laborer. I don't have no trade. I don't know the language. So he refused. And I was at Friendship Bond at that time, and it was close to my end of my apprenticeship. So I took him up, and he sent me $200, $125. I had to show to the Red Cross nurses in New York. $75 I had to show to the sisters so I wouldn't be on relief right away. Then they put me on a train for Manitowoc. It took about close to 2 days by train from New York into Manitowoc. The railroad station was on 13 and Franklin Street yet there, where the part of the Holiday House is now.
And how old were you then?
I was 17 years and 11 months. I came in April, and in May I got to be 18. Well, and my uncle, he was saving, and he had a job lined up for me for a garage, the Studebaker garage, where he had his work done all the time. So I came like the day, and the next day I started working. And believe me, it was hard the first 2 months, because they all told me what to learn as far as dirty words is concerned and stuff like that. And they told me to go up to the custom, and it was close to changing the antifreeze and saying such and such a word. And I could tell in the customer's eyes, and they're all standing in the corners and laughing, that I was not saying the right words. And that brought the homesickness on then. And if I would have had money, I would have went back home again. But then later on I got to meet Mel Reinhardt. He was a lifeguard down the beach. The beaches were in good shape yet then. And I lived right through the street here, next door to him, and he had an old Maxwell touring car, and it broke off to the nut. So I always fixed it for him, and we got to be real friendly, and he took me to all the country dances with him, and that's how I kind of forgot about the homesickness and also learned English.
During this time, was Carl, your brother, in the army?
My brother Carl was in the army from 1941 on.
Which army?
Huh?
Which army?
The German army. And in Russia. And due to the fact that from about 1942 until 1947, Germany and America were at war, there was no mail going back and forth to the private citizens. So I first found out about it that my dad had died at home with cancer of the colon. And my kid brother was killed in Russia near Leningrad in 1942. And he is still buried there.
And how did you meet Grandma?
That was simple. Later on I lived at 15th Street in the 1200 block or 1300 block, and Grandma lived with her brother on that same street but further south. And 7:45 when I went to work for my Studebaker Roadster, she walked by there because she worked in the goods. Well, one morning I asked her if she wanted to ride, and she said, yeah, that was the beginning.
And then you went from working at the Studebaker garage, then where did you work?
Then I went to the Chrysler, the Seidl and Plymouth garage, because wherever I went I got a couple of dollars raise. And in 1941 I got to meet somebody from the shipyards, and we talked one another. Then I told him I had learned welding in Germany. Well, he says, why don't you come down the submarine program? We need gas welders down there and arc welders. So I went down there and took a test, and that's when I started at the shipyards on St. Patrick's Day, 1942. And then I worked there until the submarine program petered out. And then 4 pipe fitters from the shipyard, and I'm the pipe welder. We went to to Port Washington first. We worked on a power plant there for 2 years. And when that was done, there was one of them being built in Green Bay, and we went up there, worked 2 years. And from there we went, I think Sheboygan, or yeah, I'm quite sure it was Sheboygan, might have not been in the right rotation. And then it wasn't working for a while, then I went and silver started at the Miller Brewing Company, only on beer line. And there I used to live in Milwaukee. I had a room and a loaf of bread and a ring of sausage and a quart of buttermilk, and kept that in my dresser. And weekends I came home.
Were you married to Grandma then?
Yeah,
What year was that you got married to Grandma?
35.
Then did you work in Sheboygan?
Oh yeah, then later on, when I worked at one of those powerhouses in Sheboygan, a guy by the name of Bob Hummel saw me and must have liked my work or something, or he knew I was from around here. So he asked me to work for him, and that was done. And I worked for him for, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years. And we had a job at Kohler, not for the Kohler company. They had a place in Sheboygan where they made asphalt in the floor. And one of their maintenance men was supposed to put fuel oil in that tank because we used real heavy oil. So over the weekend the fuel oil would mix with this heavy cool like solvent, and he did that all, but he forgot to put the cover on. And Monday morning I went in there and lit the torch. Everything went up in the air. Good thing I had a helper along. I was burning in my clothes, and he rushed me to a clinic in Sheboygan. And just as it would happen, there was supposed to be a doctor there on duty 24 hours. And that morning he wasn't there. So they had to get him at home. There was no such a thing as suing that time. I should have sued him, because I was in the Sheboygan hospital for over 4 weeks, all bandaged up. Just my eyes was open. Even when I was home here, I had to have a nervous breakdown once in a while. And Grandma and one of her friends, they always took me down to the clinic then. Well, finally that was done with and I got better. And then I was in the dog business already, and the Sarge twins and Sarge there, they like dogs too. So they got me to work for them, you see.
Why don't you talk a little bit about your dogs?
Oh yeah. Well, that goes back to Germany again when troops from different countries were in the barracks over in Germany. They found some of those dogs from different homes, and they fed them good, so the dogs always hung around their place, and we didn't have nothing to eat one time for 3-4 days, and I got the hatchet out of the shed and hit him between the eyes, and I says, my brother, which was 2 years younger, we got some goat meat again. So I skinned him down. Oh, he helped me, I don't know what anymore. So we had something to eat for 2-3 days. Yeah.
And that's how you got into...
Oh, that's how I got... That kind of left a soft spot in my heart all the time. So when I came over here, well, Grandma's dad used to go to a certain tavern on the north side here. Well, the name of the tavern was Dutz's Tavern. And they gave me a fox terrier for nothing. So, with the fox terrier, I trained him, and then I got a hold of a Chesapeake from some of Grandma's relation. And I bought it for $15. His name was Dino. And I trained it for 3.5-4 years. And in 1947, when I finally found out that mail was coming back and forth, then I found out that my brother was killed in Russia, and my dad died at home, and my mom didn't care to live anymore. So I sold the dog in Campbellsport, Wisconsin, at a field trial for Dr. Garner from Evanston, Illinois. He knew I wanted to go to Germany, so he chiseled with me. The dog was worth a lot more than $600. But I finally took $600.
Was that Tiger or no?
That's Tiger of Clipper City.
And that dog was what?
Hmm?
That dog won different awards.
That's right. He got to be a field trial champion. He needed one more win when he bought him, and he gave him to a professional trainer. In the next field trial, he got to be a champion. But me being just a common guy, they never mentioned me at all in it. But Dr. Gardner either, they didn't say. And he raised 2 or 3 litters of pups yet, made money with it.
Yeah. What other dogs did you have that were champions?
Well, the ginger here that got to be a bench champion, but I made that myself. Glenn, Cindy's first husband, kind of helped me with that one. Oh, God bless you.
Thank you.
And then I had some more Chesapeake, and one of them I gave to Mike after a while, because he didn't come along as fast as I wanted. Because that Chesapeake breed, when they start showing their teeth, don't just might as well quit training for that day. They got their own temperament. They just take training so much, and then they don't want to have anything no more to do that day. Then you gotta be kind to them and start loving them and hugging and things like that.
What's one thing that you can attribute to training dogs? What's your secret?
Kindness. Kindness to dogs. Like I said, once they start showing their teeth, you gotta hug them and let them jump on you and pet them and taken for a walk. The only thing I ever did is when it came to horse retrieving. You put your finger under the collar and you push down with the nail at the same time you got the dummy or the dog or the pigeon here and you say fetch. And that hurts the ear because the ear is folded backwards, and then you do that maybe 2-3 days, and that's how you teach him horse retrieving. When you get that pigeon there and you get your hand close to the collar, afterward the mouth already opens.
How you were a member of the Kennel Club. How many years were you a member there?
I joined the Kennel Club in 1938. Yeah. I'm the only one alive for those old timers. That's why they put that flag out. You see that flag? Yeah. And the dog show and the field trial coming this fall in my honor, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get there. Yeah, because I don't think I can walk good enough for the dog show or the field trial. So all I can do is give them that picture there. They want to put some kind of advertising out, and they want me to kneel with that picture there. And the president said, I don't know if I have to kneel with it or somebody can just stand it against something. And so it goes on that poster.
Where did you learn how to fix cars?
Well, in Germany for 3.5 years, from 1926 until 1929, I served an apprenticeship in Germany. The cars at that time were mostly Opels. Most of them were right-handed drive, and you couldn't actually fix them yourself. You more or less had a guy that had served the apprenticeship already, and you just watched him and see how he does it and things like that. And eventually he lets you do simpler things. Well, and after 3.5 years, then you have to make a test. And after the test, the satisfactory to those other ones, then you get a certificate of merit, something like that. And then it was time to come to this country. Yeah.
Well, why don't you wave to the grandchildren up here and tell them you love them?
Yeah, I love them all. We'll see each other again sometime. Bye.
Dealt the center, whole serve against the Kings. First experience for J.